Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Simplify IT with one of the most intelligent HCI solutions. Today's event is brought to you by Hewlett-Packard Enterprise and produced by Actual Tech Media. Now, before we get started, we have a little bit of housekeeping that we first need to cover. My name is David Davis of Actual Tech Media, and I'm excited to be your moderator on today's event. I'll introduce today's speakers here in just a moment. But first, there's a few things that you should know about the event. First off, we want this to be a very educational event. We want you to learn all about Hewlett-Packard Enterprise's HCI solutions. So feel free to use the questions box in the GoToWebinar control panel during the event. We have experts available to answer those questions, and we'll also do a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the event. We also have a couple poll questions for you that will pop up during the event, and we'll be sharing the results of those polls, or most of those polls, with you today. So look out for the poll questions. And then finally, handouts. We have the complete Guerrilla Guide to HPE SimpliVity ebook available for download. You can download that in the GoToWebinar control panel, and also the full slide deck is available from today's event in PDF format that you can download as well. And finally, at the end of the event, I'll be announcing the winner of today's Amazon $300 gift card. If you're watching this event on demand, I'm sorry, the drawing has already occurred. Event prize terms and conditions can be found at our website, events.actualtechmedia.com. And with that, I'm excited to introduce today's presenters. They are Mr. Chuck Wood, Product Marketing Manager at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, and Mr. Matt Herron, Technical Marketing Engineer at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise as well. Now, before I hand it over to Chuck, I have a quick poll question I want to first pop up here. And it's a simple yes or no question. You should see the question on your screen now. It says, do you already have HPE SimpliVity in your IT environment? So just click yes or no there, and we'll be using this to, of course, help us shape today's presentation. So we appreciate your participation in that poll. All right, looks like we got lots of good responses already. Thank you so much for responding to that poll so quickly. And with that, let me close the poll, and I'll hand it over to Mr. Chuck Wood. Chuck, take it away.
All right, David, thank you. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Really appreciate your time. Everyone's busy, but we appreciate you taking time out of your day to learn more. So what I want to take you through is just a foundation overview on hyperconvergence and HPE's offerings today, specifically HPE SimpliVity. And then we're going to dive into a lot of details on our new capability with HPE InfoSight for HPE SimpliVity. But before I begin, I want to review when we talk daily to customers about the challenges they're facing in their environments, especially virtualized environments, and how they're challenged on a daily basis. Big issues they're addressing or seeing are just literally time to run and grow their virtualized environments, running their VM workloads. This could be from enterprise line of business, enterprise robo customers, and then across the span of virtually all mid-market customers. So they're literally on this treadmill of running and growing and managing their environments. They have little time to transform or spend time thinking about innovation. So it's literally just the precious commodity of time. Costs continue to rise, and obviously budgets are fixed in terms of hiring, but you still have to grow your environments, new workloads on a daily basis. But the cost of the infrastructure, from server, compute, network, to backup products, replication, keeping those workloads online is a challenge. And availability, keeping the business on, is always a challenge. And also, as you add new capability, making sure the end user, end customer performance experience as you deliver your applications is always a challenge. And we also see this overall need to simplify. It's still too complex. So what we hear time and time again is just from IT is also they want to become aligned to the business objectives. They don't want to be seen as a cost center. They want to be seen as a revenue generation aligned strategically to the business and how they can improve business outcomes. So what I want to talk to you about is how HPE SimpliVity and our HPE product line is delivering these real business benefits to solve these challenges. So before I get into the tech and InfoSight and the intelligence that we're providing, what if we could talk about a solution that gave you 91% time back to innovate, to think about cloud, to think about transformation, delivered a 192% ROI payback within a year, and we have a study from Forrester that proves this out from customers who implemented HPE SimpliVity for hyperconvergence. 69% cost savings. This isn't incremental. This is significant savings over traditional ways to running your environment for VM workloads. And this could be running SQL apps, Exchange, SharePoint, collaboration apps, web app. It really runs the gamut for what you can run essentially on modern hypervisors today, be it ESXi VMware or Microsoft Hyper-V. And then on the availability side or resiliency side, one example would be, what if you could restore terabyte-sized VMs in seconds, 60 seconds or less? And finally, imagine a single UI to manage this from the entire stack, from apps to hypervisor down to all the IT below the hypervisor, and do it with additions of like predictive analytics and machine learning to make your support experience easier. That's what I'm going to talk about. We're going to talk about today, and we're excited to show you a live demo of this. Oh, and also this is also backed by the most complete guarantee in our HPE SimpliVity Hyper Guarantee with the links there to show you that. So what's to simplify? When you look at the legacy stack today, the stack on the left is what you traditionally will see. And we still see customers running this with server, storage, compute, a hypervisor is in the mix. In this case, we're showing VMware. You have resilient HA storage. Backup is required, so you have to introduce some type of backup technology that may be hardware accelerated or in addition, replication and backup software. So it's a complex stack, multiple products, multiple UIs, multiple maintenance streams you have to manage. First gen HCI witnessed a collapsing of the top portion of that stack, the compute and the storage, into these modern modular scale out architectures, but many of them did not address the data problem of these data management, replication, DR, mobility, and the orchestration of site-to-site DR, for example. They were always add-ons that you had to factor in, resulting in more complexity. It's only HPE took a lens scope of the entire stack, and that's what we've instantiated in HPE SimpliVity, as a modern scale-out architecture over these powerful building blocks based on HPE ProLiant servers, the workhorse in the industry for delivering x86 applications, coupled with a hypervisor and these built-in services. And now we're excited to say we have a simple management interface inclusive of the InfoSight capability for predictive support and helping you deliver a new support experience. So we've collapsed this entire stack with density, resiliency, performance, and this intelligence layer that we're excited to show you today. It's got the built-in backup, built-in replication. You can use it with other existing technologies, but think of it as self-protecting in the architecture with a backup replication DR function that's world-class, delivering on remarkable outcomes like ability to restore VMs in seconds, or do site-to-site failover in a very orchestrated, fast manner. So the key goal here is to give power back to virtual machine admins and VM admins who run any estate of virtualized workloads. We're finding that individual is under a lot of pressure to do more with less, and they're beholden to other groups for compute, for storage, for networking, and many times they just can't get their job done in a timely fashion. So we're solving that problem with the HPE SimpliVity, giving you an extremely dense solution packed with these powerful x86 powered HPE servers as well. We've also introduced AMD-based servers as well. So you have choice across the portfolio range, but it's packed with the capability to scale out, serving 10 to thousands of VMs as you scale in this hyper-converged modular scale-out way versus over-provisioning up front. And with our data model, we guarantee 90% capacity savings. That's incredible when you use our services to run your VMs and to protect them using our built-in backup. And it's all done through a consolidation of interfaces to one steering wheel, one UI. That's the VMware admin interface. For VMware, it's vCenter, and for Microsoft, it's SCVMM. Resiliency is built in. We'll talk about this. And then we're actually improving your performance with not only the app performance through our data model, but think of it as your management performance and efficiency is gained by simple verbs and policies to back up and run your application workloads. And now coupled with InfoSight, we're turbocharging that with this ability to predictively analyze your environment, give you cross-stack visibility into your infrastructure, and make your life easier, overall driving overall simplification. So the core capabilities on this that we're showing that are really borne out, and this is first, best, and only from HPE. We guarantee data efficiency through this unique architecture. Many of you know this, but it's through always-on inline dedupe compression and optimization. As IOs are written into our infrastructure on the servers, we actually dedupe and compress the data before it's written to disk, and that delivers a lot of downstream benefits for performance, as well as this protection model for backups and restores. It's built-in resiliency, HA, in a variety of topologies, either locally in rack or even in stretch cluster deployments. We're seeing more and more deployment that fashion. And we just did a recent poll. 94% of our customers are taking advantage of our backup and replication capabilities. So that's a huge, they're not just buying it as shelfware, it's being used and deployed. And in many cases, it's their top objective they're trying to overcome is improving backup, DR, and their recovery posture for their virtualized workloads. And finally, on the right is the performance. And most importantly, this global VM-centric management model. We manage everything at a VM level. You don't have to worry about LUNs or RAID sets or concatenates or all these below the line elements that you have to manage in other traditional ways. All that is abstracted away, and you manage what matters, which are data stores and the VMs that you may want to run on those data stores. And now we're adding in this visibility through InfoSight across all your estate that might span multiple sites, done through a SaaS portal. You'll get to see a demonstration of that today. So just very quickly, what's in a box, what's in one of these servers today? It's got the inline dedupe, giving you the 90% capacity savings guaranteed, the built-in resiliency backup, recover terabyte VMs in 60 seconds or less, improved agility, this global unified management, inclusive of the new experience with InfoSight, and also flexible resource pooling of not only your HPE SimpliVity nodes, but you can also connect in external ESXi hosts that we would call compute nodes. And this is an added agility, flexibility capability many of our customers are now using. Any non-SimpliVity host could be attached in to your SimpliVity infrastructure and benefit from all the built-in services. We offer hardware accelerated and software optimized models, and it's obviously delivered on the industry's most secure platform, namely ProLiant from HPE. So a couple more backing points to justify and show you how our customers are benefiting from the efficiency in the backup, and then we're going to drill into the InfoSight in the third chapter. Here we're showing what our customers are achieving for data efficiency. These are significant benefits in terms of, through a recent poll through Forrester, They monitored 10 of our customers. They're achieving 47-to-1 data efficiency for the VM data and associated backups through inline dedupe compression. This is pretty revolutionary. Then we did a separate poll of several hundred customers, and they're achieving on average a third are achieving over 100-to-1. I'm going to show you a customer in a few slides that they're actually getting a 300-to-1. This is Alterra Mountain in one of their hospitality resort locations. And that's just a function of the VM data being dedupable and compressible and the associated backups. And they're retaining more backups and improving their posture because this model is so efficient. So they can have SLAs of every 10 minutes or every hour or every 4 hours. They can improve their service levels, but without having to post up a lot of infrastructure because the system is so efficient. So next, reiterate that we have a built-in backup recovery capability. It's point-and-click simple, built-in policies. You can be creating these policies very simply through automation, and you can protect your VMs. Any VM on a data store could have this built-in policy, or you can have per VM policies to back up how frequently you want, how long you want them retained, and in which data centers would you like those preserved. Very simple policies, but very powerful without you adding extra CapEx or OpEx through the form of licenses. It comes built into your SimpliVity node, and it's very powerful. So shifting to InfoSight, and at the bottom of the hour, we're excited to show you a live demonstration of HPE InfoSight for HPE SimpliVity. But this is one of the big benefits of InfoSight. It's about really transforming the support experience through machine learning, predictive analytics, and the summary outcome which is remarkable is 86% of issues on the far right are resolved automatically. So customers don't have to even worry about their infrastructure. The model is we're monitoring your systems and using analytics to find problems before they even become known to you. And it's pretty incredible what HPE has done. This was born out of the Nimble acquisition, but now this technology is spreading across the HPE portfolio from ProLiant servers. Obviously, the storage portfolio has it, and now we're excited to introduce this for HPE SimpliVity and Hyperconvergence, and really taking Hyperconvergence to a new level in terms of support and a support model. Now, and behind the scenes, and we have several papers on this, several blogs around the model, but it's about this unique stack of how we monitor and monitor our install base of systems, learn from that, observe, and then run these predictive algorithms of finding where problems might lie between firmware levels, stack levels, hypervisor, and application levels. If anyone sees an issue, an anomaly, we can flag that and blacklist that so other customers don't run into that issue, and we'll preventively make sure you don't hit that through these predictive wellness screens out to the customers. And the overarching goal is just continuous improvement in this model as you're running these infrastructures. And it's cross-stack, so we can see from the hardware running on ProLiant all the way through up to the application level. So this is the virtuous circle that HPE InfoSight provides in delivering efficiencies. All of this is running behind the scenes, and customers can benefit from this. This is the observation process where we're monitoring your nodes, and not just any given customer, but the entire install base, and then mining that back, learning about what's running in production, version levels and applications, and looking for signatures and symptoms, and then running these predictive algorithms against that to come up with recommendations and then specific targeted actions that enable our support arm to deliver better service, and then ultimately allow you to have a better experience and minimize the outages that may occur without capability like with InfoSight. So couple slides. I'm not going to spend much time on this because you'll see a live demo in just a moment, but it's about, we're excited to announce InfoSight for HPE SimpliVity. This is going to transform the way hyper-converged environments, which are already simple today, to make them even more simple, to eliminate support issues, reduce operational complexity, and even drive that efficiency benefit that we have today even higher. And some of the key capabilities you'll see are top performers, but I don't want to steal thunder from the demo that Matt Herron, my colleague, is about to show you. A couple customers that we have today that are running HPE SimpliVity. We have thousands of deployed customers now spanning the globe across vertical use case. Popular use cases are obviously just data center consolidation, saving space by eliminating that complex stack, improving your DR posture, improving your backup, improving your test dev environments, gaining more agility. In the case of Formula One automotive manufacturer Red Bull Racing, they're running a myriad of our use cases. Consolidation, they run at their track side when they run a race. They have us in an edge deployment in that fashion, as well as in their factory where they make the race cars. They're running VDI, high-end VDI, including with NVIDIA graphics, doing computational fluid dynamics, all on SimpliVity. So these are all some excellent use cases. Alterra is improving their overall operations across multi-site. They're spanning 9 sites across North America. They actually run ski resorts across the country, and they've seen rack space savings as well as operational improvements in their resiliency in DR. And then finally, on the InfoSight side, we have a customer in the finance vertical, King Price Insurance. They're a very innovative insurance provider down in South Africa, and they're growing rapidly, 60%. What they've told us, and this customer, they have dozens of HPE SimpliVity running a variety of applications, SQL, a lot of their databases run on us. They moved from traditional architecture and are now running. They've been running for several years. I recently saw Gerhard at Discover in Las Vegas. You know, I asked him point blank, how many failed backups have you had since you've been running SimpliVity? He said 0 in 3 years. So the product works. And then he got a sneak peek of InfoSight, and I love his quote. He just loves the new tech. InfoSight is basically AI that is looking after my environment when I'm not looking. It's extra hands that are automated and that are at his disposal, monitoring his system so he can get time to give back to the business. And then finally, before we get into the demo, we have demonstrated real business benefits. Forrester was commissioned by HPE recently, and they published a 2019 report. Basically, they surveyed 9 of our customers across a variety of verticals, and this comprehensive report was a total economic impact survey that they looked at all elements from power, space, cooling savings, improvement in FTE, and spending less on professional services, fewer upgrades because you have less elements to manage. And then even recently, they added in DR automated failover tests for certain verticals where you have to do this on an audited basis to verify that your systems can sustain, you can recover quickly from a DR event or an outage. And they found using HPE SimpliVity, there was payback because the system is so efficient. You need fewer people to bring in over those audited periods and to either test them, and you can do this more efficiently and faster, and then have better assurance that you can survive a DR failover, either operationally when you want to do it for operational reasons, or worst case in the event of a true disaster. So pretty impressive report, and it shows some of the many benefits from an economic perspective. So just in summary, before the demo, with HPE SimpliVity, we posit we're delivering the most intelligent HCI on the market now with InfoSight, coupled with the power of what we have, allowing customers to gain time back, 91% time now, it's only going to get more with InfoSight. Improved TCO and cost savings, 69% compared to alternative architectures, and 90% capacity savings with guaranteed through our data virtualization model, improving your density, performance, and resiliency, and delivering dramatic simplification with the capabilities available today with SimpliVity that are now even getting better with HPE InfoSight. So with that, let me turn it over to my colleague, Matt Herron, so he can give you a cool demo of the new capability. So Matt, you want to take it away?
Yes, thanks, Chuck.
Chuck, do you mind if I pop up the our two quick poll questions here for the audience?
Sure. Go ahead.
All right. While Matt's getting the demo ready, two quick poll questions. The first one here is, what initiatives do you have in the next 12 months? And this is a multi-select question, so you can select more than one option here. So I know many of you are doing multiple large projects at the same time, like data center consolidation and infrastructure refresh. So feel free to select more than one, and I'll share the results of this poll with you here in just a moment. Let's get a few more responses in. I'm really looking forward to this new demo, the latest incarnation of InfoSight myself. So we'll hurry on to that here just as quickly as we can. All right, looks like most everyone has responded. I appreciate those. Let me share the results with you. All right, looks like 52% are looking to improve backup recovery and DR. 49% have infrastructure migration or refreshes that they're undertaking. Those are kind of the top two. Chuck, how does that stack up with what you've seen?
Yeah, that's spot on. That aligns perfectly with what we see and hear. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, one more quick poll. And this is kind of related. So, you've got these projects going on in your IT infrastructure, in your IT organization, but what are some of the obstacles that are slowing you down? Is it budget, just don't have the money? Is it internal skills? You might need training, or it's more complex than was originally thought. Perhaps organizational resistance to change, migrating workloads, or just lack of time. I know that's always a challenge in IT, is time versus budget. All right, looks like most people have responded. I appreciate that. Let me share the results of this with you as well. And 71% said budget. 40% said organizational resistance to change. I find that interesting. And then 38% lack of time. Chuck, you think SimpliVity might be able to help with some of these things?
Absolutely, on the budget side, but that's very interesting, and that aligns very similarly with what we're seeing. But absolutely, HPE can help.
Excellent. Well, I know we want to get to the demo, and so do I. So, Matt, take it away.
All right, thank you. Let me get my screen shown. Okay, and now kind of give a quick introduction to what everybody's looking at. So with HPE InfoSight, it's a cloud-based portal. What does that mean for you? There's nothing to install. Literally, in your SimpliVity environment, it takes 5 minutes to register your environment. The integration is built into SimpliVity, so I don't have to install any additional consoles. So it makes it easy. There's not a lot of change that happens. It's just a web page. We all know what web pages are. So this helps us because it's already starting the first step of simplifying what I have to do in an environment. Well, when you log in and you log into your organization, you're presented with a view of all your data centers, regardless of geographical location. So as you see here, I have my Los Angeles and my Tampa clusters. Now in SimpliVity, we can have multiple clusters to where we can have a main cluster, and then we can have other clusters back up to that cluster, or they do what's called a hub and spoke or a mesh type design. And in that, we have a construct called a federation. So regardless of your federation, regardless of location, I get a quick at-a-glance look at what my environment is. So right now, just simply, I have LA, I have Tampa, I have obviously no depleted clusters here. That's a good thing. Here's my physical data stored, or the, logical data stored, my used physical space, and then my capacity savings. So you can see already at a glance, again, I'm saving over 700 terabytes or tibabytes, which is basically just file system, the space within a file system construct within my SimpliVity environment. So very easy to see. And then now I can start drilling down. And as we drill down, we'll explain some of these things. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat, and we will get to those questions. So this is our data center construct. Again, regardless of geographical location, this is based on my vCenter data center. And then we have clusters. So clusters, again, are based on my vCenter clusters. So I have the LA cluster and the Tampa cluster. So as I get a look at my environment on all my clusters, so no matter how many clusters I had, they're all going to be shown here. I have the name, the amount of virtual machines. I have the virtual machine data in a logical space construct. I have my local backups, and I have my remote backups in the environment for each cluster, and then the total logical data stored. Then we have the physical space in my environment, the actual space written to disks after space savings and space efficiency is done. So I have 3 tibabytes written to this environment and 29 written to this environment. And then I get to see my efficiency. And this is great, one, it's great because we can brag about the efficiency in SimpliVity environments, but two, from sizing exercises, as you expand your environment, as you grow, you kind of know how to size the environment and look at the environment based on the current savings you're getting. So it gives you that great visibility into your environment without having to click, 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 click. It's right here. It's very easy to see. We're seeing our overall efficiency 9 to 1, 25, 13 to 1, and our overall savings. Now, even though this says it's a demo organization, this is actually real life data that we took and then we sanitized, so there's no reference to anything else, and put it in here. So these are real life numbers. This is just numbers that allow us to, we can give a demo on it, since they don't really change that much. So as you see the clusters, you have the clusters, and now as part of clusters, we have hosts, or the actual machines. And again, this will display all the hosts in my environment. Now, the reporting back to InfoSight is based on our virtual controller node that handles all the data. So that's what's being reported here. And you'll notice this first one is an OmniCube. Now, we have a lot of legacy SimpliVity clients that are using Dell or Cisco nodes. And just because you're on maybe what we're referring to as OmniCubes on older environments doesn't mean we're not going to support you with InfoSight. Because we're reporting on the data virtualization platform, it's only based on your software version, not the underlying hardware. So we're not going to forget about any of our customers. We want everybody to be included. And then we're going to report on the VMware vSphere version, and we also include the build number there. Very easy from a patching, from an interoperability guideline. We report on the model of the server of the SimpliVity node or the OmniCube. And then we also have a cool feature as our entitlement status. Now, InfoSight's no extra cost to our SimpliVity customers, as long as we have a current entitlement. So right here, we see the entitlement. This one's expired. It gives us a warning. So at the very top, you see a yellow banner to where I can simply click here to start the quoting process for our renewal. Makes it real easy. Don't have to really talk to anybody if I don't want to. And that's kind of what we're trying to do. So, and then we see the latest report date. So currently our SimpliVity on InfoSight reports in about once every 24 hours. So we can see that as of yesterday, my environment's reporting in. And then I can report all this out. If I need to quickly give an email with all the information here seen on the screen and my management wants it, just so we can do asset tracking or something else, since we provide the serial number, I can just download a CSV, it's exported, really easy, makes it easy on everybody. So as we go down to our host, we can drill down to the actual host. We can actually go in our clusters if we want to, and drill down into a cluster. And so as we look at our cluster, we're presented with an overview, a summary of the cluster, which is just name and machine count, the overall physical space of that cluster environment. So this cluster is 4 hosts, as it says right here. So this is the overall physical space and then the utilization by that host. But we're also giving the top virtual machines in my environment. I'm always going to have virtual machines that are noisier than other virtual machines. That's just how it happens. Some are more utilized, some are just there for infrastructure. So I can see from a space standpoint what my top virtual machines are, and I can hover over VM 646 and see what my virtual machine data, local backups, and if I have any remote backups, what they are and how it's presented from a logical standpoint. But now we go over to the right-hand side, and I'm also given a top virtual machine layout based on my average IOPS over the past 24 hours. So if I have a virtual machine that is a lot busier, a lot noisier than my other virtual machines, then it's going to be presented here on its average over the past 24 hours. So I can quickly look and say, okay, this VM 602, this is my Exchange server, or hey, this is my Active Directory server. There's no reason it should be generating this much traffic. Let me look into it. So I get this visibility to my environment that I may not necessarily have had as easy, or is easily provided for me. So I don't have to go into CLI. I don't have to click through a bunch of other consoles. It's all part of this console, all reported to me, very easy to see. And again, I didn't have to install anything to get this. It's part of the package. So as we go to the hosts, we can see the same, we can get an overview of the host as seen, but then we have the virtual machines as well. So our virtual environment is all composed of virtual machines. So sometimes I just simply want to know what's going on in my environment from a virtual machine standpoint. Like we said, we just talked about having noisy virtual machines, but what do we want to do with our environment to make sure it's safe? We want to be able to back it up. We want to have current backups. We may want to have backups that are archived for whatever reasons we need to archive them. And because that's included with SimpliVity, we don't necessarily have to pay for any additional backup software, but we also want to know what's going on with our backups. So on a virtual machine basis, I can see very easily, again, virtual machine name. I still have my logical space of my virtual machine. So the virtual machine size, the local backups, the remote backups, total data stored. And then I have backup count. So maybe I have a machine here that I didn't realize I was backing up every 10 minutes, because we can do that. And I have hundreds of backups. Maybe I need to go in and clean everything out. Or maybe I have 0 backups and it's like, hey, that machine I should be backing up that machine. So we can do that with SimpliVity and with InfoSight with SimpliVity. Also, again, at a glance, I'm giving the IOPS over the past 24 hours. So this is, remember, it's a dev environment. It's not going to have a lot going on, but this is kind of busy. This has, over the past 24 hours, this seems to be consuming a lot of my IOPS. So let's drill down into this virtual machine. Again, I'm given a layout of my summary, my logical space. I have it tags up here to where I can quickly go to my host if I want, look at the cluster overview. But right here, I'm given my average performance of the virtual machine over the past 24 hours. So I am generating the most IOPS in my environment, which again, this really isn't a lot of IOPS, but my latency is real low. So I really don't have anything to worry about, which is a good thing. Now, if my latency was spiking, I have things I have to worry about. And InfoSight, because of that visibility you gain with InfoSight for SimpliVity, right here, I know what I need to look at. I know quickly if something needs to be troubleshot, if I'm starting to have issues. But here's the cool thing, is now that I'm analyzing all this information, over time, I can start to predict what's going to happen based on all this information that I'm reading. We'll get to that a little bit more later. But we see the throughput of this machine and everything's all good. I really don't have anything to worry about. This may be my SQL server. This may be my Exchange server, and that's why it's noisier than the rest. And then again, I get a logical space layout to look at what's taking up space in my environment. Is it the virtual machine data? Is it logical space? I don't have any remote backups on this one, so I'm just backing it up to the current cluster. So not necessarily that big of a deal, but I have the visibility. So now at a cluster level, let's look at our storage efficiency for the environment. One of the main things we brag about with SimpliVity is the ability to, with that inline deduplication, with that inline compression, the ability to hold all your backups and only write new data. And so if I'm going to brag about it, I kind of want to show it to you. And that's kind of what we do here. So we're going to give you the total use space in your environment, and I can go to just a specific data center. I can look at all my data centers, and I see over the past 7 days I've had 1% growth. Again, physical space is brought to me, showing my growth right here, but here's my capacity savings over the environment. So if I look at all my data centers in my environment, and this data center is a single federation, and so our space savings is on a federation basis, you can see across that entire SimpliVity federation, I'm getting 12 to 9 on my dedupe and 1.3 on my compression. So overall, even though I'm only using 32 terabytes of data, I'm actually storing 740 terabytes of data in my environment. And this is not out of the ordinary with our SimpliVity environments. This is very consistent across with what you see. In fact, in my opinion, these numbers are a little bit low. But as we see going down, we now have usage over time. And that's handy because as we start to size our environments, as our environments start to grow, what's going to happen towards the end of our year or our fiscal year or something? Well, management's going to say, hey, what do I need to budget for next year? And we can't always say, I don't know, especially in an environment, what's our growth? We may not necessarily know that we grow at 2% on a monthly basis, or that year over year we're growing 7%, because things change. But if I could predict what's going to happen in my environment, kind of makes it a little bit easier, and it's really great to have a supported, intelligent answer. And again, we'll get to that in a second. But as you can see, we see the usage, and this is usage over time. I can change it I can look at the past 3 months, and you can see, man, in June, I had some growth. In the middle of July, I had some growth, and then we can go back and look at what happened. Maybe we bought a company and we were importing data, or something was happening with that, or we were sending a lot more emails, or something was going on. So we now can look at this. I can put it at a specific data center, but you see we have color coded depending on all my data centers I have, and I can just scroll along this chart and see what's going on. But now we have where we start getting into some of our base predictive analytics that we can do with InfoSight. And these will only grow as we have InfoSight on our SimpliVity environment. Since this is a new product, we still have to have time to analyze to come up with solutions. But as we see, we have our 2 clusters. We have our LA cluster and we have our Tampa cluster. And there's no risk in this environment because honestly, the growth, as you can see, the growth just really isn't there. But as you look at our Tampa cluster, it's predicting that in 3 months, I'm going to be full on physical capacity. So right now is the time to say, hey, I probably need to start ordering something, look at saving space, maybe archiving some of that data to another SimpliVity and archive node or something like that. And I can do that. And then I'm showing my savings, but I'm also showing my growth over the past 30, 60, and 90 days. So in the past 90 days, I've had 32% growth. I'm growing. Now I can answer those questions. But as the old commercials used to say, but wait, there's more. So as we drill into the cluster, now I can look at my growth, but I get my future prediction based on my current growth of how the environment's going to grow over the next month or so. So as we see, the dotted line represents future growth, and I can expand out on this a little bit to look at our environment. So as we see it's grown, we know that we're using more data. Now this is the red line represents the total space we have in the environment. The blue line represents the actual usage. But as we get to this dotted line, these are future dates. This shows the predicted usage. So let's say over the next month, my growth is going to go from using 30 terabytes to 34 terabytes. So is there something I can do because I don't have the budget? Do I need to set the budget? What can I do? So with those predictive analytics, this is only the start of what we're able to accomplish with our SimpliVity environment by giving you the visibility. And then if I just need to see it on a per host environment or per host usage basis, I can. And again, this is on per host, so all my hosts contribute to the overall space, and I'm seeing just usage go up. I can expand to see it trends over the past 3 months. This environment hasn't been around but about 4 or 5 months, so I can't do really a 6-month prediction. So we see how this is going up and how my host usage is trending. But basically between all that, I'm able to look at my storage efficiency. I'm able to see the predictions, know when I'm going to be at a crossroads, and know when I need to do something. And overall, this is what InfoSight helps do. InfoSight helps simplify. It helps give a visibility, and then it helps me predict what's going to happen in my environment. Honestly, so I don't have to. And I always like to say it helps me be proactive instead of reactive. So now I can look for the future instead of saying, oh, there's an alert. I have 2 days left till I'm full on storage. That's not a good experience for our customers. So that's what we're trying to do here. So that's a little bit of it. We'll have more information coming later, but this is basically the what you can start to expect. Again, at no additional cost, no other installation required for our customers with SimpliVity. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Chuck.
Okay, all right, thanks, Matt. So thanks for that demo. And I know we're running short on time, but we want to definitely answer Q&A and leave time for that. Just one other slide just to show you before we get to the Q&A. We have several follow-up items you can access, and these links are on the download, so pull down the presentation at the end, and you can hit on these hyperlinks. We have a Chalk Talk, talks more about SimpliVity and InfoSight. There's a great blog and a couple case studies and customers, and you can always find more at hpe.com/SimpliVity. But with that, let's open it up to Q&A. We have about a little under 15 minutes left. So let's open it up, David, for Q&A.
Excellent, Chuck. Yeah, we do have some questions here for you from the audience. While we do that, I'm just going to bring up this poll, and it says, do you want to discuss your projects with an HPE representative? I'll leave that up. It's a easy yes or not right now answer options on the screen there. And so if you have questions about the HPE SimpliVity solution, now is the time to ask. So let's see, first question that came in here, and maybe this is a question for you, Chuck, is at one point you talked about eliminating OpEx. How does the solution help to do that?
So eliminating OpEx, and that's where that Forrester paper, it's not HPE telling you this, it's literally Forrester who interviewed our customers. They show how customers are saving on operational expense, which is time. And an example is time to upgrade their stack. Imagine you have a legacy stack of server, a SAN switch, storage, a backup appliance. If you're replicating across sites, you may have a riverbed or some type of WAN optimization that has code that has to be, all those elements need to be maintained and upgraded. You know, order of magnitude, say you at least keep that stack current once or twice a year if you're doing patches. That's time to patch the stack, not inclusive of the hypervisor and firmware levels. So that all those upgrades take time, which translates into OpEx. Either you're paying a professional services person to do it, or your FTEs have to do it. By collapsing the stack, you eliminate those upgrade tasks, which saves you OpEx and time. That's one example. Another one is on backup restore, or a lot of people mentioned security vulnerability testing is becoming more and more a challenge or a hurdle. Like, I need to make sure my environment is not susceptible to some vulnerability. To do that, you may need to test. You may need to stand up a copy of your production environment in a silo bubble on some other DR site. It's not just DR. This is like DR and penetration testing from a security perspective. We have SimpliVity customers doing this now routinely because our failover and cloning of an environment is so simple and efficient. They can do these audited tests, which might have taken 10 days or 2 days, plus all the time and people. They can do it in a weekend. And that's another example of OpEx savings. It's literally agility to do more with fewer people. So those are two examples, but there are others as well. You know, just and the obvious with InfoSight would be alerting and wellness and predicting. Matt gave a great example. Right now, when you're out of space, you may get an indication when you're 90% full. It's like when your gas tank in your car is almost out of gas, and then you get the alert. That's not good enough. You want a dashboard monitor in your car that tells you you have 300 miles left on the current gas in your tank or the current power in your electric car. You want that capacity planning to give you better information so you don't run out of gas in the desert where there are gas stations or charging stations. So that's the type of, and that saves you in the long run in OpEx. But it's a long-winded question, but check out that Forrester report for other examples. But good question.
Excellent, excellent. I like that. Next question here. They say that they're a SimpliVity user currently. Where do they find InfoSight integration?
Okay, yeah, I did see that one come in, and they're actually running a current level, 379. So right now, InfoSight, as Matt told you, it's a SaaS portal. We're showing you a preview. We announced this at Discover Las Vegas. We'll be making this available to anyone under maintenance, including if you have 378 or higher, so 379, you'll be able to activate this. We're targeting at the end of this year, last quarter of this year, October, November timeframe, when you'll be able to literally register your nodes and then see all the dashboards that you just saw that Matt showed you. So you're running the right code. We just haven't released the SaaS portal yet. So stay tuned.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Let's see. Next question here. What about being proactive or predictive failures? That was the question. Can you elaborate on that?
So I'll take this one, Chuck. So InfoSight kind of takes a way of analyzing your environment, and the longer it's able to analyze your environment, the more we can predict on. So sometimes that can take 6 months to a year of real world analytics to start understanding that. But I'll use the example of kind of like our Nimble arrays, which as many may know, InfoSight was received as part of the acquisition of Nimble Storage. So Nimble's been running InfoSight on their environments for almost a decade. And the great thing is they're the ultimate. So if anybody ever wants to see the roadmap of where we're going to be with SimpliVity, is look at what InfoSight can do with Nimble. It just software development takes time to get there. In saying that, with Nimble, there's certain predictions that can be made on a Nimble array, such as this specific hard drive is not performing optimally. So, hey, this needs to be replaced. InfoSight can automatically open a ticket and send a replacement hard drive. I can predict based on the health of something we have called VM vision. The VM is not operating optimal. Does something need to be redesigned? Is something misconfigured in the environment? InfoSight can actually do that. At this point, from a SimpliVity standpoint, because we're still in the analytics stage and observing, that takes some time. With our initial release, the prediction is based on capacity trends, but we'll see a lot more as we start to add features like wellness and being able to match specific issues that are seen in the environment to signatures based on existing support cases, and then give you to a knowledge base that shows you how to resolve those issues. So those are some of the predictive things that you'll start to see with InfoSight in the near future for SimpliVity.
Very nice, very nice. I like that. I look forward to that. Next question here is from Eric. He's asking, what are the data storage ranges that SimpliVity is capable of? Like, where does it start, the entry point, and maybe how large can you go up to?
So at this current time, your smallest SimpliVity node is an extra small, which is basically a few terabytes. And then we don't max out necessarily at a space size, because you can get an extra large SimpliVity node that is like 20 plus terabytes. But we do max out at a maximum amount of nodes in a federation. But you can have multiple federations. So technically, the smallest is a few terabytes, and the largest is only almost infinite, so to speak, depending on how you want to build out your environment. But on a federation basis, we allow 96 nodes in a federation at this current time. So while my math is not super amazing, imagine 96 times 22 terabytes. That's kind of on a federation basis what your maximum physical space is. But that doesn't take into account the logical space based on compression, deduplication, backups, and things like that. We have customers that in their environment, their space with backups and everything shows that they're storing petabytes of data in their SimpliVity environment.
Very nice. I like that. Amazing scalability. Another question here, when they're using InfoSight for SimpliVity, will it be a tab, or is it a separate application, or kind of what's that look like? How do they access it?
And again, I can take this one. So it's actually, so all of SimpliVity management is integrated directly, as Chuck mentioned earlier in the call, in the webinar, is integrated directly into the hypervisor management system. So VMware vCenter or vSphere vCenter for VMware, and then SCVMM for Hyper-V. At the initial, we're only supporting vCenter at this time, and it actually is in the HTML5 version of the VMware vCenter console, and there'll be a tab called InfoSight or OmniWatch. You click on that, and it'll say register here. And once you're registered, then you have the web-based dashboard that's there. So nothing else to install. It's literally you paste a token, hit register, in 24 hours it starts reporting to the console, which you do have to register for, but the whole process takes about 5 to 10 minutes.
Very nice. Very nice. That sounds easy. Okay. Next question. Will InfoSight only work with HPE Gen 10 SimpliVity?
Oh, that's a good question. No. So as mentioned, it's based on software version. So we'll support all of our legacy customers and current customers and future customers. They just need to be on software version 3.7.8 or above.
Okay. Richard is asking, what about future monitoring and alerting capabilities of InfoSight? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. So again, the goal with InfoSight is to be able to do these predictive alerts and things like that, to where right now you're out of space, we alert you. But imagine just other things going on as we start to add to it. We can alert on anything that we see as a potential issue or a current issue in your environment, whether it's email or web-based alerts that are in the application.
Okay. And what about, here's another question about, does InfoSight for HPE SimpliVity report on ILO or the server hardware?
Good question again. So not at this time. So we do have InfoSight for our server hardware, but it's kind of separate. With InfoSight now, we're kind of reporting specifically on our data virtualization platform for SimpliVity. So if you want to see your ILO statistics, it does require the ILO amplifier pack and registering with InfoSight. At a future time, we do see them coming together to where there is no additional installation. We'll be able to report on both at the same time.
Okay. And I know you get this question a lot, but it came up again here, so we should probably clarify. Is there additional software licensing associated with InfoSight for HPE?
Chuck, did you want to answer that one?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So the answer is no. There's no additional licensing for customers who have a current support agreement for their HPE SimpliVity nodes. Basically, if you have a maintenance contract that's valid, think of InfoSight as part of your maintenance. There's no additional fee.
I like that. I like that. We don't do enough webinars around completely free, awesome new features. So I love to hear that. I'm sure the audience does as well. Well, it looks like we're running out of time. We just have 1 minute left in today's event. I want to make sure we end on time. Before we go, I do want to announce that the winner of today's Amazon $300 gift card is J.R. Ashby from Arizona. Congratulations to J.R. And before we go, Chuck, is there anything else that you want to add?
No, just thanks for everyone's attention. And if there are any follow-up questions, please work with your HPE partner and HPE account reps, and we'll be in touch. Thanks for all the time and interest.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Chuck and Matt, for joining us today. I love the demo as well, of course. I know the audience did. And I want to remind everyone out there, before you go, I put a link in the chat box there that'll take you to hpe.com/SimpliVity. So make sure you just click on that, and that'll open up in your web browser. Also, make sure you click on the 2 handouts that are available for download in the GoToWebinar control panel. There's the complete ebook there, the Gorilla Guide to HPE SimpliVity and Hyperconvergence, as well as today's slide deck. So you can download those and take them home and read them after the event. Thank you so much for joining us on today's event. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.